I think we have time to do one more sutta. Sutta number 55, Jivaka Sutta, 2 Jivaka. This Jivaka, from the Vinaya books, we know Jivaka Kumarabacha was a personal physician of the king. And in this sutta, apparently from this sutta we can see that he has just come to know the Buddha. So he doesn't understand the Buddha so much yet. And also this sutta is about the eating of meat. It's a very important sutta where the standard, the view of the Buddha concerning meat eating is set out quite clearly. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in the mango grove of Jivaka Kumarabacha. Then Jivaka Kumarabacha went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, I have heard this. They slaughter living beings for the recluse Gotama. The recluse Gotama knowingly eats meat prepared for him from animals killed for his sake. Venerable Sir, to those who speak thus, say what has been said by the Blessed One, and not misrepresent him with what is contrary to fact. Do they explain in accordance with the Dhamma in such a way that nothing which provides a ground for censure can be legitimately deduced from their assertions? And the Buddha said, Jivaka, those who speak thus do not say what has been said by me, but misrepresent me with what is untrue and contrary to fact. Jivaka, I say that there are 3 instances in which meat should not be eaten, when it is seen, heard and suspected that the living being has been slaughtered for the monk. I say that meat should not be eaten in these 3 instances. I say that there are 3 instances in which meat may be eaten, when it is not seen, not heard and not suspected that the living being has been slaughtered for that person. I say that meat may be eaten in these 3 instances. Let's stop here for a moment. So here, concerning meat eating, the Buddha has these 2 conditions, these 2 sets of conditions. If we see here or suspect that the meat has been purposely slaughtered for us, whether we are a monk or not, then we should not eat. But if we know that the meat we see, we hear, and we do not see, do not hear, and do not suspect that the meat has been purposely slaughtered, the animal has been purposely slaughtered for us, then we can eat. In other words, if we, for a layperson goes to the market to buy meat, if it's already slaughtered, you can buy. It is permissible to eat. But if it's alive, you cannot order that animal to be slaughtered for you. For example, you cannot choose chicken to be slaughtered, or go into a restaurant that has live fish, and then you select a fish to be slaughtered for you. That is also not permissible. So, like in the case of monks, generally monks, when they go to lay people and beg for their food, generally the lay people do not know that the monk is coming. So if they slaughter the animal, it is slaughtered for their own family. But if the monk comes to beg for the food and they see the monk, they give a portion to the monk, then the monk may eat the meat because it was not purposely slaughtered for him. It was slaughtered for the family. This happens that the monk comes along and they give him a portion. But if the monk knows that it was purposely slaughtered, then the monk cannot eat. Also, if lay people say order a few chickens or a few ducks, also it's not proper, because if you order a few chickens or a few ducks, they have to slaughter for you. So if you go to the market and meat is available, already slaughtered, you buy it. You don't order for another day. If you order for another day, it's not so pure. To continue, here Jivaka, some monk lives in dependence upon a certain village or town. He abides pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with loving kindness. Likewise the second, likewise the third, likewise the 4th quarter. So above, below, around and everywhere, and to all as to himself, he abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with loving kindness, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Then a householder or a householder's son comes to him and invites him for the next day's meal. The monk accepts if he likes. When the night is ended, in the morning he dresses and taking his bowl and outer robe, he goes to the house of that householder or householder's son and sits down on a seat made ready. Then the householder or householder's son serves him with good alms food. He does not think, how good that the householder or householder's son serves me with good alms food. If only a householder or householder's son might serve me with such good alms food in the future. He does not think thus. He eats the alms food without being tied to it, infatuated with it, and utterly committed to it, seeing the danger in it and understanding the escape from it. What do you think, Jivaka? Would that monk on such an occasion choose for his own affliction, or another's affliction, or for the affliction of both? No, venerable sir. Does not that monk sustain himself with blameless food on that occasion? Yes, venerable sir. I have heard this, venerable sir. Brahma abides in loving kindness. Venerable sir, the Blessed One is my visible witness to that, for the Blessed One abides in loving kindness. Jivaka, any lust, any hate, any delusion whereby ill will might arise have been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with so that they are no longer subject to future arising. If what you said referred to that, then I allow it to you. Venerable sir, what I said referred to precisely that. Let's stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says that no ill will can arise in the Buddha. He has metta, loving kindness all the time. Why no ill will can arise? Because all the lust, hatred and delusion, which is a condition for ill will to arise, have all been exterminated, eliminated. Here Jivaka, a monk lives in dependence upon a certain village or town. He abides pervading one quarter with a mind imbued with compassion, likewise with joy, with equanimity. Likewise the second, third and fourth quarter. So above, below, around and everywhere, and to all as to himself, he abides pervading the all-encompassing world with a mind imbued with these qualities, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hostility and without ill will. Then a householder or a householder's son comes to him and invites him for the next day's meal. The monk accepts if he likes. What do you think, Jivaka? Would that monk on such an occasion choose for his own affliction or for another's affliction, or for the affliction of both? No, venerable sir. Does not that monk sustain himself with blameless food on that occasion? Yes, venerable sir. I have heard this, venerable sir. Brahma abides in equanimity. Venerable sir, the Blessed One is my visible witness to that, for the Blessed One abides in equanimity. Jivaka, any lust, any hate, any delusion whereby cruelty or discontent or aversion might arise have been abandoned by the Tathagata, cut off at the root, made like a palm stump, done away with so that they are no longer subject to future arising. If what you said referred to that, then allow it to you. Venerable sir, what I said referred to precisely that. Stop here for a moment. So the Buddha says, there's no possibility of any cruelty or discontent or aversion arising in him, because the condition for these, that is hate, lust, hatred and delusion, have all been eliminated by the Buddha. And then the Buddha continued, if anyone slaughters a living being for the Tathagata or his disciple, he lays up much demerit in 5 instances. When he says, go and fetch that living being, this is the first instance in which he lays up much demerit. When that living being experiences pain and grief on being led along with the neck halter, this is the second instance in which he lays up much demerit. When he says, go and slaughter that living being, this is the third instance in which he lays up much demerit. When the living being experiences pain and grief on being slaughtered, this is the fourth instance in which he lays up much demerit. When he provides a Tathagata or his disciple with food that is not permissible, this is the 5th instance in which he lays up much demerit. Anyone who slaughters a living being for the Tathagata or his disciple lays up much demerit in these 5 instances. When this was said, Jivaka Kumarabacha said to the Blessed One, "It is wonderful, Venerable Sir, it is marvelous. The monks sustain themselves with permissible food. The monks sustain themselves with blameless food. Magnificent, Venerable Sir, magnificent, Venerable Sir. From today, let the Blessed One remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life." That's the end of the sutta here. So here, you can see this standard of the that we have to uphold. If we eat meat, there must be three conditions. We don't see, we don't hear, and we don't suspect that the animal was purposely killed for us. The other thing, in the monks' precepts, the Buddha forbid monks to insist on any particular type of food unless the monk is sick. Then, in other words, a monk cannot have preference. Whether you want to eat vegetarian food or you want to eat any type of meat or anything, because the Buddha says a monk should be easy to look after, easy for lay people to support. Must not make life difficult for lay people. So whatever is given to a monk, if it's reasonable food, we should eat without having preferences. But if a monk is sick, that he needs certain type of food, then he can ask. The last thing I want to mention is that in China, they have this misconception that monks should eat meat. They say that monks sir chai. Sir chai, actually, this word chai means fasting, but they think it means vegetarian food, because they have confused these two terms, sir chai and sir su. Sir su is taking vegetarian food. Sir chai is, we know the Muslims, when they buka puasa is is translated in Chinese as kai chai. So the meaning of chai in Chinese is puasa, which is fasting. And so in the Buddha's teachings, we when we practice the spiritual path, we only eat in the morning, when the sun comes up to noon, when the sun is at the highest point. After that we fast until the next dawn. So that's the meaning of sir chai. And the reason they confuse it with sir su, taking vegetarian food, is because in China, in the year 511, there was an emperor called Liang Wuti. This emperor used to be a Taoist. At the age of 40, he became a Buddhist. And after that, he built a lot of monasteries and temples, etc., and did a lot of good deeds for the Buddhist religion. But then later, when he compared Taoist priests and Buddhist monks, Taoist priests are vegetarians, so he thought Buddhist monks taking all kinds of meat was not pure. So he decreed, he commanded that all monks and nuns in China must not eat meat. But from that time, it adversely affected the Sangha, because once that the monks were not allowed to eat vegetarian food, then they could not go on pindapat, could not go on alms round. And when they could not go on alms round, they had to cook their food, which is against the Vinaya. And to cook the food also, they had to look for money. They had to possess money. Again, that is against, contrary to the Vinaya. So to get money, they started to do chanting. So the lifestyle of monks in China slowly became very similar to Taoist priests. They take vegetarian food, they do chanting to get money and all this. So they could not practice like monks during the Buddha's time. During the Buddha's time, monks, because they go on alms round for their food, they could live in caves, they could live in hilltops, they could live anywhere under the tree and all that. As the sutta say, they only bring with them their 3 robes and their alms bowl, and they could go anywhere like a bird, free as a bird. And so that was ideal for the holy life, because a monk is advised by the Buddha to live alone, to live in secluded places. But once he insists on vegetarian, once the emperor insisted on vegetarian food, that really upset the lifestyle of monks in China. So I just end here. I can't tell you how the 84,000 doors came about, but certainly it is not the Buddha's teachings. This 84,000 is one of those figures that was commonly used in India. For example, 500 is one of the common figures. If say for example the number is anywhere between say 250 to 750, and then they say maybe 500. And so 84,000 is supposed to be a very large number. So they use it actually, like we know in Mahayana Buddhism, they say a lot of things which are contrary to what the Buddha said. In the Buddha's Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, there is only one path to liberation taught by the Buddha. Only one path that is important in the Buddha's teachings, and that is the Noble Eightfold Path. There is no other path that is important. But other things that are practiced are all related to the Noble Eightfold Path. Like in this Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 52, the 11 doors mentioned here are all related to the Noble Eightfold Path. But when you say 84,000 doors, Dhamma doors, then it is confusing people. Practically anything also can do, just like the Mahayanis like to say, this provisional means, Fang Pian Fa Men. Provisional means, for example, they say the Mahayana monks, they don't have to keep the Vinaya, don't have to keep the monastic rules, because it's a expedient means for the Bodhisattva. Then the Bodhisattva, it's easier for the Bodhisattva to do their work. But this is not what the Buddha says. The Buddha is very strict about the Vinaya rules. So other things they say, like if you practice if you cultivate hard on the spiritual path, you live alone and you meditate and all that, they say that is selfish. The Arahant path is a selfish path, they say. The Bodhisattva path is a path that benefits all beings. But that's not what the Buddha said. Say again, what position? No, meditating. Yeah. No. Wait, one by one. This Buddha and the Arahants, when they meditate, they face east because they are very sensitive. But for ordinary people, you are not so sensitive. It doesn't matter which direction you face. Okay? And then sleeping, when the Buddha was about to enter Nibbana, to pass away, he lay down with the head facing the north. So if you like, you can follow him with the head facing the north. But it's not always convenient. It's not always convenient. Anyway, when you fall asleep, you don't know what's going on, so it doesn't matter.
Minimum sleep, what exactly? How many hours of sleep?
Minimum sleep is different for each person. Different for each person. The more efficient your mind becomes, the less sleep you need. So we are all at different levels. So you cannot practice like the Buddha. The Buddha doesn't sleep. The Buddha and the Arahant disciples, they are said to be mindful 24 hours a day. That is why you cannot accuse them of any fault because they are mindful 24 hours a day. Even when they sleep, it's not like ordinary persons. Ordinary persons, when we sleep, we are not aware of our surrounding. But the Buddha and his Arahants, they are mindful 24 hours a day and they rest fully awake. That's why, like here, the Buddha said he will, in that sutta, the Buddha said he will lie down and take a rest. And remember, Ananda was giving the talk, and Buddha was aware of all that was said. Okay, shall we end here?